Hi, welcome to my presentation. We will be starting soon. Hi, welcome to my presentation. I hope every week you are watching my presentation and getting a lot of knowledge as well as a lot of points for your day-to-day UX related research as well as innovation. Thank you for people who contributed with their suggestions on next series because we already completed one series. The next series we are talking about UX research methodologies. The first presentation on UX research methodologies is how do we interview users and bring their ideas to the UX UI design table. How to conduct interviews with users and bring their ideas to the design. So actually, every stage of UI design, we have to conduct or we have to interact with users and get their feedbacks. That is very important in the UX research when we talk about user-centric design process. Today we are talking about in-depth interviews. So this is only one methodology. Don't be confused with other methodologies or don't be mixed with other methodologies because I am doing that in that methodology. Why it is not here? Because the immediate thought is immediate comparison is ethnographic interviews. Other one is cognitive walkthroughs. So there are different methodologies we have to discuss in UX research. So we had to use these methodologies according to the need and objective of the project. Today I'm talking about only in-depth interviews. Why it is called as in-depth interviews? Because it's a qualitative interview and depth prompting or the deep level you are interacting with the user. It's not a 1 minute or 2 minute interview like what we are doing in the quantitative research. So UX research mainly talk about qualitative research, mainly come under qualitative research, but we can do quantitative also. But actually, we are mainly talk about qualitative research methods in UX research. So today we are talking about in-depth interviews. So this is not an academic presentation, and this is not a promotional presentation. It will take around 45 minutes of your time, and you will get a step by step or the detailed steps on how to conduct in-depth interviews, what are the points in it, and you can use it in your daily practice. So whatever we are talking about is based on our experience on top of theoretical knowledge. So this is not a classroom presentation, and of course we are not promoting any brand or any company here. So in-depth interviews, the main topics inside in-depth interviews we'll be talking today will be environment for interviewing. What are the different environment for interviewing with a user? Interviewing channels, different channels we had to use, number of interviews required, how many interviews are required, then selection and scheduling participants, how to select a participant, and how to schedule. Duration of interviews. What will the duration of each interview? Interview guidelines. You have to prepare a guidelines for the interview. So how to prepare that, and how to conduct interviews. What are the points while conducting the interviews? Then languages used in the interview and translation required. Then audio, video recording and streaming. Note taking and transcription during the interview. Summary and analysis. How to summarize the interview after the interview, how to prepare the summary note and do analysis. Then legal formalities and white labeling of the interview. You already noticed that there are a lot of sessions, lot of subsessions in that. So what I decide is we can divide into session 1 and session 2. In session 1, that is we are talking today, and session 2 will be in the next presentation. So in session 1, I am talking about environment for interviewing channels, number of interviews needed, selecting and scheduling participants, duration of interviews, interview guidelines, and how to conduct interviews. Okay, the purpose of in-depth interview is to find what they have in their mind, what the user have in their mind. You may be designing user experience. So that means you are designing an environment to get it experienced by the user. That is what, as a environment designer, that is if you are a UX environment designer, UX designer, some people says that I am a UX designer. What means you are creating an environment, you are designing an environment, or you are designing an interface for a user, get it experience, but still you can't create any experience, or you can't understand what the experience it creates in user's mind. It is a it should come from the user's words and user's actions, and users should disclose it. So in-depth interviews are used to find what is their thinking, what experience they conceived in their mind from your environment. That is the purpose of conducting this. Don't confuse with the UX design, that is user experience designing, and UX research. So UX research measure your UX design. That's where you have to understand. Okay, whatever I am talking about is connected to innovation journeys. Innovation journey starts with empathizing idea, sketching concept, then move to designing look and feel, rapid prototyping, evaluating MVP, and market feedback. So whatever may be your product, whatever may be your service, whatever may be your process or business model, you have to go through this cycle while you innovate. So we can include the users thinking process to any stage of your innovation journey. So I am advocating that, because user-centric design is the ultimate business model for any business. Maybe you are a multinational brand, or a family brand, or an individual brand, or a freelancer. User-centric design is the only business model you can adopt. Even though you can do innovation without users' views, still you have to go to market, and users will accept or reject your design. Then you are forced to change according to users' needs. Otherwise, you can't survive in the business. So we have to invite users in any stage, all stages of innovation. Of course, I invite your likes and comments and share of my presentation to your friends and colleagues. So in total, I'm talking about how to listen users, how to plan your project, how to execute project and deploy the project and measure. You can get my thoughts in offline by subscribing to our newsletter called UXLIVINGLAB News. This is released weekly, so you are invited to subscribe to that newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter. Okay, coming back to our topic, in-depth interviews. Why we have to conduct in-depth interviews? I give a small introduction about in-depth interviews. Still, what you get from the in-depth interviews, or why we should conduct? I can express it within a simple Venn diagram: validate and explore. So in-depth interviews, you are validating your knowledge and exploring the knowledge the user is having. As a one sentence, I can say in UX, depth interviews are used to validate and explore knowledge with experts. One person at a time. In-depth interviews should conduct only with one person. Don't do with two persons. That is dyads or triads. Three persons will be triads. Then group discussions. So there are different methodologies. We will talk with different methodologies one by one. Today I'm talking about in-depth interviews. So it should be one-to-one interviews. And in UX, it's a depth interviews are used to validate and explore knowledge with experts. So you have to validate and explore. Who is expert? Consider the user in front of you is an expert. Don't think that the user is having a doctorate in a topic to qualify them as an expert. Any user you selected for in-depth interview is an expert. Maybe you are talking to a housewife. You are talking to preparing some dish, or how the housewife is preparing a tea in a particular geography. The housewife is an expert. Consider that expertise. Don't look into the qualification, but consider the expertise of the user. What you are doing during the interview, whatever knowledge you have, think about you are going to conduct an interview for a coffee brand and talking to housewife in a city, how she is using this coffee and preparing daily coffee for her family. So what knowledge you have to be expressed in front of the housewife and get it validated, whether she is accepting or rejecting. That is validation. At the same time, what are the extra knowledge or additional knowledge the housewife is having in her mind? That is exploring. So during the exploring process, you are learning from housewife. Your validating process, you are checking your knowledge whether it is right or wrong. So this is what you are doing in in-depth interviews. Some information you are validating, some information you are exploring. Okay, so that's the reason you have to conduct. Why it should conduct in-depth? That's the only method to get the knowledge of the user. If you use dyads, there are two persons, there is a chance for comparison. In a group also there is a comparison. So normally people will open up their mind only in in-depth interviews, because there is no comparison. They need not afraid about whether my knowledge is right or wrong while the other person is talking some other thing. So these type of ambiguities we can avoid, and user will open up his mind and talk about the topic. That is why the in-depth interviews are conducted. Okay, as a first thing we have to discuss about what are the environment for interviewing. Mainly there are three environments. So one is lab setup, and another is home setup and street. If you are a UX designer, you have some experience in UX research or market research, you are familiar with these environments. Home interviews means we can go to home and discuss. Lab means you can invite to a lab, maybe your own lab or a designated lab only for research, or a temporarily constituted or temporarily prepared lab. We can invite the person to that lab and conduct interviews. And street, maybe a casual way you can conduct the interviews. Okay, so these are the three environment. And what are the interview channels nowadays? You know that it's the online or offline, so that's not a big thing I'm talking about, but online and offline. But one important thing you have to keep in mind, whatever may be your interviewing channel, face-to-face discussions should be done. If you are trying for telephonic in-depth interviews, actually you are compromising the quality or the information from the user, because you can't see their gestures and postures, their face expressions, their emotions. Only you are getting the voice and tone of the voice. So it's very limited thing you are getting from the user. So avoid telephonic interviews for in-depth methods, in-depth research, in-depth interview methods. You can do telephonic interviews in quantitative, that's better, but don't, I won't recommend. So avoid telephonic interviews in in-depth interviews. So online and offline, it should be face-to-face discussions. It doesn't matter it's online or offline. Some people are more comfortable on offline, some people are more comfortable in online, or you can accept online or offline according to users preference. Doesn't matter which method you are using. Then how many interviews are needed? That's a very important question. And how to calculate number of interviews required? If you are a statistician, you have a lot of methods to calculate that. Sampling size. I hope you have some idea about statistics. Maybe you may be a big data analyst, or maybe already learned some statistics in your university. So I connect you at a very simple thing called central limit theorem in statistics. According to central limit theorem, if you don't have outliers, outliers means some data is away from the normal pattern of the data. If there is no outliers, 10 to 15 interviews are enough in a population. What is population? Population is the total community of the research. So you may be taking a segment of the community for the research. So if you are going to talk only with youngsters, the total youngsters in that area is the population. So 10 to 15 interviews are enough according to central limit theorem. That is one of the important points you can refer, or you can calculate based on it. There are a lot of other calculations also, because this is not a statistics presentation. So if you are a statistician, you can go through your lot of formulas, say Slovin's formula or a lot of other formulas is available to calculate that. But 10 to 15, you keep it in mind. Being a UX researcher, you have to keep in mind 10 to 15 interviews on population. The population, that is very important thing, because if you are going to do a research in the entire community in a country, entire population in a country, 10 to 15 is enough. But if you are dividing your analysis based on cities, then you have to conduct 10 to 15 interviews in a city. You see, again, it depends on the division or segment of the people for analysis. For example, if you want to analyze between male and female, Then male, you have to conduct 10 to 15 interviews, and female, you have to conduct 10 to 15 interviews. That is important. Don't say that a total 10 interviews, then I am dividing 5 male, 5 female. That's also possible, but your analysis will be on total. So don't take analysis from the number of interviews less than 10. So it will be more or less biased. You can analyze it with even one interview. That's okay, but only the information from one person you are analyzing. You are not getting the information from the others to add up. So the 10 to 15 is the right number of interviews you needed. Okay. Then selecting and scheduling a participant. How to select a participant? In this method means in UX research, geographic or the demographic profiles have less importance when you compare to other grouping. The first and important thing is usage history, because that is the way you have to decide, or you will get information about the expertise of the user. So whether the user is using internet 24 hours, for example, you are conducting an interview connected to you are conducting a research connected to internet users, whether user is using the internet for 24 hours or 5 minutes in a day or 6 hours in a day, everything depends on the usage history. So high user, medium user, or low user, or non-user. Also, you can add low user. You can include from 0 to any level. So you have to decide what is the expertise you require for anything. For example, you are conducting with doctors. So number of surgeries the doctor is doing in a day or in a month, that can be a benchmark for expertise, or number of papers the doctor published in an international article in a year or in his lifetime. That is also a expertise. So like that, you have to judge the expertise, even though it's a housewife or a professional. What's your whatever may be the respondent you are selecting, whatever may be the participant for your interviews or your targeted participant, you have to finalize the expertise of this participant. Then behavioral patterns. So what benefits or occasions they will use. So behavioral patterns, you can group the participant based on behavioral patterns. Then psychographic profiles, their lifestyle, their attitude. If you are conducting interview with the doctors, their attitude towards the profession, and they have behavior patterns, or when the person will recommend something, or when the doctor recommends something, like that. You can group the behavioral pattern and psychographic profiles. Think about a housewife who is using internet, the usage, and what are the occasions the housewife is using internet, and the lifestyle of the housewife is a traditional or modern lifestyle, or innovative or tech savvy attitude. These are the attitudes and lifestyle. You can go through the segmentation methods for that, and what's the benefit the housewife is getting while using the internet. So that's a benefits and occasions. So when she's cooking, she's using internet, or she's using internet only for leisure, or like that. So depending on these conditions you have to fix according to the topic or according to the objective of the interview. You have to fix. That is, you are defining your targeted users and the user grouping. So one more point I have to mention is, if you are conducting 10 interviews, don't take in such a way that you take high, medium, low. That is 3 people from high, 3 people from medium, and 3 people from low. That's okay. Then don't divide again that 3 people to one is from benefit, one is from occasions. That is not the method. All the 10 people you can divide with user history. All the 10 people you can divide with behavioral patterns. All the 10 people you have to divide with psychographic profiles. That's the way you have to set. So you can judge the profile, or you can finalize the profile of the respondent or the participant in such a way that is a heavy user. The heavy user of for example, is a heavy user of internet. She will be learning about new cooking methods from internet and modern lifestyle. Another person is heavy user, is a leisure or entertainment. For entertainment, she is using internet, and she's a modern life. She's having modern life. That's the way you have to go. So this is very important, because what category of people or what type of people you are talking about, even though they are expert in their field. So expertise is domain. In domain expertise, you already judge. For example, in cooking, she is very uh, interested in cooking, as well as she is an expert in the cooking. But you are talking about the internet usage in cooking, because you are developing an application uh, on different cuisines. Then you are talking about the internet uses during cooking. So expertise is on cooking, and you are dividing based on usage history. So it gives the use of the channel or use of your product or service during the day-to-day work. That way you have to design. So you can judge the expertise, at the same time how she is using your tools, or how she should use your tool during their work or their whatever may be the topic you are talking about. So this is the way you have to select the participant, and you have to schedule. Scheduling is not a big thing. You're talking to the participant and schedule it according to their convenience. Some, again, it depends on the region and culture of the locations, because some people need not record scheduling, or and again it depends on the duration of the interview. If it's a long interviews, it should be scheduled, but in some people always need scheduling, so it depends on. But selection is very important. Then comes to duration of interviews. What should be the duration of interviews? 10 to 60 minutes is ideal for is an online or offline interview. Again, it talk about what method or what channels or where you are conducting the interview. If it's conducting the interview on street, or the environment is street, channel is online, offline, and the environment is street, it's better to limit maximum 20 minutes. So 10 minutes is better. So maximum 20 minutes, because you can't conduct interviews more than 20 minutes in a street, because people have no time for that. At the same time, it will be disturbing, and there are a lot of distractions will come into the interview. So it's better limit to 20 minutes in the street. And home interviews, you can conduct for 20 minutes. For the 10 minutes going to home, it's not viable, because you are traveling to their home and you are spending a lot of time. Just 10 minutes interview, and you won't get anything like any valuable information within 10 minutes. So it's better go for at least 20 minutes, but we always recommend 45 to 60 minutes in home interviews and lab interviews. This is the way you have to set duration. Normally, in-depth interviews take, most of the in-depth interviews takes 45 to 60 minutes. That is needed. Don't limit your interviews 20 minutes, because it's you respondent needs some time to open up and sync with your talking and sync with your discussion, your questions and discussions. Okay. So duration of interview is design it for 45 to 60 minutes. Then how to prepare the guidelines? So we call it as interview guidelines. It's a questionnaire In quantitative, we always call it as questionnaire, but in depth interviews, it's a guideline, because we should not prepare it as a questionnaire. Don't prepare a questionnaire and go for in-depth interviews. It's just a guideline. These are the points we had to discuss. Okay, so how to divide this time of interview? So normally the 10% of the time you can use for warm up. So think about it's a 45 minutes interview. You can use 5 minutes for warm up. Then present the topic one. So it will be taking another 20% of time. Sorry, another 25% of the time. So think about around 15 minutes. It will take topic one, then topic two, topic three. So when topic three is completed, this is 75% of the time you have to reserve, or you will be completed. That's a 10% is for the warming up, then 65% for the balance. So topic one, topic two, topic three, then compare. Another 10% for compare between these topics, then wind up. This is the way you can divide it. Don't stress on one topic more. Okay, you can deviate from this pattern if you have a purpose, but it's better to have this, because if you have 3 topics, you have to give importance to the 3 topics in a equal manner. Maybe you have 3 ideas to discuss with that participant, then mark it as 3 ideas. Maybe you have 3 variants or 3 subtopics. That also you can mark it as 3 subtopics. What you have to be clear on this. What is subtopic 1, subtopic 2, subtopic 3? One important thing is you have to limit to 3 topics or subtopics. Don't add more topics, because user is confused and user is getting a lot of information. Then there is no proper input user can give if you are adding a lot of topics to the interview. So better limit to 3 topics, even though 1 topic is enough, but better to compare or better to judge or rank between the topics. Better to have some more. If you have only 1 idea, then idea 2 can be taken from the user's mind. Okay, do you have any idea? Okay, I can put this as a second idea, then compare. That's the way. Okay, then you think about if you have more topics than 3, then divide your interviews. This I'll talk these 3 topics to this respondent and next 3 topics to another respondent. So your number of interviews will be increased because you have more topics. But in one pattern, you have 10 interviews. So if you have more topics, the number of interviews will be increased. Another method is, instead of dividing that, if you have 6 topics, you can ask 1, 2, 3, the topic 1, topic 2, topic 3 to first respondent, then 2, 3, 4 to the second respondent, 3, 4, 5 to third, 4, 5, 6 to the next one, and 5, 6, 1 to next one, like that. Again, the number of interviews will be increased. So the limit to 3 topics, that is very important. Do comparative positioning at the end. The comparative positioning between the topics you have to do at the end. So if there is one topic, you are selecting the topic idea from the participant, then compare, or you have 3 topics and compare at the end. Prepare only discussion points. Not that I already explained. Prepare only discussion points. Avoid overlapping of topics in the guideline. That is one of the mistakes people are doing. They will ask something here about one topic and ask something after in between the second topic they will ask it. So avoid these type of overlapping. If that is coming, you are to design this guideline properly. You have to be systematic, but respondent feel that it's a casual discussion. That's a psychology behind it. All the respondents or all the discussions should be a casual discussion. Don't put it as a systematic, but you have to be systematic in your mind. So these points I have to cover. You have to be systematic, but don't express that systematic process in front of the participant. So they have to feel that it's a casual discussion, but you have to be systematic. So don't overlap of topics in the guideline. So the mistakes I notice is when guideline preparation there will be overlapping, and during the interview also the people will overlap the topics because they may not be prepared it properly, or they may not be prepared it arranged it properly. That may be the reason. So what is happening if you overlapping the topic? Actually, what is happening when you start warming up that topic 1, then topic 2, topic 3, compare, and this is a progress of the discussion. So user is a human being, so user is also learning from you. So user learned about first topic, then user is learning about topic 2, topic 3. So if you mix it, so actually the topic 2, the response to topic 2 will be having some bias or some knowledge addition from topic 1, because the respondent learned that process in topic 1. Anyway, there are a lot of similarities in topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, because you are talking about one domain. So there is a lot of similarity. So a lot of things that respondent learned from topic 1, that is having effect in the responses in topic 2, also having in the learnings from topic 1 and topic 2 will be having effect in topic 3. So how to avoid this in a practical way? The interviewers, what we do, or what the interviewers do, is change the hierarchy of this topic in each interview. So first participant will talk topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, and second participant will be talking about 2, 3, 1 in the order, or third participant will be 3, 3, 1, 2, like that. That is advisable if the ideas are exclusive, mutually exclusive. But in some cases there is already a continuation from topic 1 to topic 2, then topic 3. You have to keep this hierarchy. It depends on your design of the research, design of the topic. If there is a continuation from topic 1 to topic 2 to topic 3, maybe it's a subtopics, there will be a continuation, then keep it as it is, because you are conducting research in that form. If there are some mutually exclusive topics, you can rearrange the topic to avoid the bias, to get the proper information, and avoid the bias. So any method you can follow according to the design of your research. There are only two methods. One is keep that hierarchy, other is shuffle it. Okay, these are the important thing you have to keep in mind while preparing interview guidelines. You can prepare guidelines is like a bullet point. This is first step, second step, third step, like that. Then how to prepare some questions to be reframed after each interview. That's one of the important thing we learned, or we have to insist you while conducting interviews. What is sub questions? So when there is a topic, you have to ask a lot of sub questions in that topic. Or are you using how you are using internet during cooking? That may be a topic. Then while cooking you will use YouTube, or while cooking you use talk to your friends in WhatsApp. This may be a sub question. Okay, so sub questions to be reframed after interview. Why it is to be reframed? Because look into first interview, what is happening? The first interview, you are validating some information you have, because you are a researcher, you know something, you have to discuss a topic, you are checking. Okay, most of the people will use YouTube for learning cooking. So are you using YouTube? So you are validating with that question. Can you explain how you are using YouTube? That is, you are exploring how a housewife is using YouTube. So that's a way, the validation and explore. Then a small thing you have in your discussion to validate with the user, then explore. That's happening in the first interview. Then what is happening in the second interview? Because you got the information, you are also learning. So you have the information from the first interview, second interview, third interview, like that, and you are adding that information to your knowledge base. So in the second interview, you have the base of first interview. In third interview, you have the information from first interview and second interview. So you have more things to validate. And eventually the portion of exploration will come down, because you already talked this topic, you got this information from the previous interview. That is happening in a research. So all the researchers keep in this mind, you are also learning, and always use the same person for discussions. If you are avoiding this person, still avoiding the same moderator or same interviewer, and you are giving independent interviews for each interview, still you have to reframe the sub questions and given to the second person and brief them properly. This the sub question for the interview. So in turn, what is happening, you have to check your guidelines and reframe it after each interview. So you have to reframe the sub questions after. That's one of the important point you have to follow. Don't think that I have a guideline, you do it, do 10 interviews, that's all. That's not the way Indepth interviews. So because it won't give any proper exploration of the knowledge, because you are trying to conduct a quantitative measurement. So just 10 interviews, okay, I have a guideline, go to this go to field and conduct these 10 interviews and tell me how many people use YouTube. That is not the purpose of that interview. That is a quantitative interview. Don't use this type of, you can add these type of questions as sub question, or not just a passive question, but that's not the purpose of in-depth interviews. You can divide your questions in such a way, there's a critical questions, non-critical questions, and passive questions. So critical questions, that's a very important question you have to ask on that domain, on that topic, that should be asked. Non-critical is general questions, but passive questions is just a casual question you are asking. So don't ask passive question as a critical question. So you have to divide these sub questions into these three categories: critical questions, non-critical questions, and passive questions. And another thing is, as I discussed, every interview you are learning, so your validation is increasing and the exploration part is decreasing. That is happening after each interview. You, as an analyst, you have to control it. If you are using different moderators or different interviewers, or you are using one interviewer, then interviewer can manage this. Then what is happening in the third, after all interviews, you may be covering almost 95% of the information, or explore all the 95% of the information, and validate only the validation will be there in the last interview. So it's reaching around 95%. So exploration is very, very minimal. So interviewer or analyst is learning. Otherwise, do a try. You have a simple problem, maybe a mathematical problem, or maybe a logical problem, very simple problem. You talk to your friend, then you present it to your friend. What are the questions the friend is asking? Just judge what are the questions the friend is asking. You may be getting 5 questions from your friend. Okay, then go to the next person, present the same idea, same problem, then ask that person what are the doubts you have. Then the person will come back with 25 to 30% same questions and some new questions. Then go to third person. The third person gives some questions, But in your duck, what is going to happen? Most of the questions, or 50% of the questions the third person is asking, is already asked by first and second person. Then the person will be adding some more to that bunch of questions. Then go to the next person. After within 10 discussions, you may be reaching almost all questions. Go to the 10th person. He may not be asking more questions. He may not be asking any new questions. Whatever the person is also asked questions. That's correct. But the questions the person is asking is already asked by the persons you already talked to previously, prior to the person. So that is happening. So that's why you are also learning, you are getting, or you are exploring that context, and you are getting the information. So validation will be increased in each interview. This is one of the important points you have to keep in mind in depth interviews. So when you present a user to a user, an idea about your interface, then this is nothing about, you are just talking about a face ID recognition you are going to implement in your new interface. You are talking to different users, 10 users. So what are their doubts, or what are their concerns they are asking? So that's why you are learning what user is talking about. If a user is from a particular location, or particular category, particular behavior, or a particular usage pattern that you already discussed about. So what are the questions the person is asking? Then go to the second one again, third one again. This at the end you will be getting almost all questions. But in the last interviews, you are just validating. You may not get more questions from the users. That is, your process is saturated. Still, you feel that that's not saturated. Add more interviews, but don't deviate from the topic. If you deviate from the topic, again you have to go to the saturation. But actually, if same topic is continuing within 10 interviews, it will get saturated. Then stop the interview, because you won't get much information from any participant. But the number will always divide in such a way that, or take the number of interviews from a population. For example, if you are conducting interviews in US, maybe in New York and London, so take 10 from London and take 10 from New York. Then only you can analyze. So that's the way you have to continue. And this is the process. You have to keep in mind what is happening during the interview. This is the saturation point. If you feel that still a lot of things to explore, increase the number of interviews, maybe, but still you won't go beyond 15. That is, in our experience, there is no discussions go beyond 15 number of interviews to get more, unless you are deviating from the topic. So most of the discussions, the people will deviate. People means the interviewer will deviate from the topic and make it a mess. So you should have a strict control on the interviewer and the procedure. So this is the way you have to prepare the guidelines. This is the important points you have to keep in mind. Guidelines. So reframe sub questions after each interview, because you are not conducting the quantitative interview. So you are adding the knowledge. That is important. So you need not ask the same question again to the second person, because you can just validate your knowledge. That's correct. What knowledge adding to your mind, you can validate, but need not compare. We are not comparing the answers and take it as a percentage analysis, because that's a quantitative method. You are exploring and adding. In a technical terms, or the research terms, we can call it as Delphi method. Otherwise, you can refer in Wikipedia about Delphi method. So learn it. This is the most common method used in in-depth interviews or qualitative interviews also. Okay, coming to how to interview, how to conduct interview. So this is the progress of the interview. The first step is develop a close relationship with the participant and build build confidence in the participant's mind to open up. Reconfirm usage behavior pattern and psychographic profiles. This is the thing you have to do in warming up session. You have to reconfirm the usage. The person already claimed that he's a heavy user, already claimed that its behavior is modern or like that. So psychographic profiles, these profiles you have to reconfirm. For analyzing this profile, you have to use screener or the selection process that you already conducted, and after that you are selecting. So you already explained these are the three patterns, three things you have to look into: usage, behavior, and psychographic. So for these three things, you have to conduct a screening process, selection process. So you may have a questionnaire, you may have a small discussion to finalize this prior to the depth interview. So how to frame that questions, you can refer net, or if you have a psychological background, you can frame that question based on psychology, because psychologists have procedure, or psychologists have some uh, methods to finalize these things. Apply that models in your research. So better to engage a psychologist for that. Then use that questionnaire. Or if you feel that you can learn it and do it, that's also fine. But I'm just recommending a professional method, a professional to your process. Apply psychological method and finalize this screening process. And you have to reconfirm this while warming up by checking some questions. More important thing is develop the close relationship with the parties. That is very important. That is the purpose of warming up. You have to build a close relationship with the user and give the confidence in participants' mind to open up. They have to open up their mind. They should not think before answering. That is one of the approach we have to keep in that interview. If you think and answer, it's like a exam. It may not be their practice. What they learned will come out from their mind. We need the real experience. We need not require the academic knowledge, because that we can easily gain. So we need the situational, contextual knowledge. So that should come from their mind only when they are freely open up. So build the confidence, build the relationship in that way. If you fail at this point, your interview is failed. If we continue with that interview, it will be failed. At the same time, don't start with, okay, we have an interview, you can start. This is my first topic. Okay, how do you feel about it? Don't do that. You can do that procedure in quantitative interviews, but not in qualitative interviews or in-depth interviews, because the participant needs some time to synchronize with your wavelength and synchronize with your mind and open up. So build that confidence. Maybe you feel that participant have a close relation with you, build a close relationship with participant's mind, then present them. Continue the interview. Then after that, what you have to do, build a story from warm-up. That is the important thing. Keep the story context in entire this is not in the discussion. While you prepare the discussion guide, you can't put it in the discussion guide. This is the capability of the interviewer. In some areas we call it as moderator, or interviewer and moderator is same in in-depth interviews. So this is the quality, or this is the expertise or professional capabilities of the interviewer. Build a story from warm-up. So while you do the warm-up, while the interviewer doing the warm-up, you have to find a story, build a story from their context to continue the discussion. What it is actually, because you are talking to a housewife about internet usage during cooking while warming up. She may be thinking, okay, my phone is always in kitchen, so at any time I can, that's the way I am referring any doubts, that you get that type of information. Well, my phone is always with my kid. Whenever I need some information, I'll ask my kid. Okay, think about these different situations. So build a story from that point. Okay, think about you are going to prepare a dish, and you are the main person to decide the ingredients and preparation, and you will be keeping your kid near to you for playing, on net, or your kid is playing on net, but she's near to you. Then how do you start your conversation with your kid? So you have to build that type of stories. So prepare the context, or build a story, the story context in, and present in a story context in front of the participant. So what is happening? The participant is a role player in that context. So participant is the main hero or heroine in that context. Then you will be building a context, so participant can easily respond to the context. Otherwise, you are just asking a question. Okay, do you use YouTube? Yes, I am using. How do you use? So that is not the way to conduct that interviews. Put them into a context, then ask. Put them into their context. That is very important. So for a housewife, you can prepare this type of context. Think about it, you are conducting an in-depth interview with a doctor. Build a story like, okay, think about a patient is coming with a cataract surgery, and the patient is have no time, not time in the sense, is the patient is also very busy. So how you react or how you recommend, you are forced to recommend a solution to that person. So think about that situation. The patient is in front of you, but he's showing that I have to go rejoin my job within 1 week. Then in that situation, what methodology, we can talk about different methods. That's a way you have to, what methodology you will use, and we can talk about the different methodologies, and this is the context you have to build. So prepare a context from the warm-up and present it. This is the point, this is the step you have to do in a depth interview. If you can't find this type of contest from the warm-up, consider your interview has failed. You will get a lot of information while asking topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, like that, but consider it is not a fruitful interview. So again and again, I am saying build story from warm-up. Keep the story context in the entire discussion, because what we are going to do, introduce first topic in the story context. So you already start up with the story context. In that context, you have to put the topic 1. Okay, this cooking is going on. So think about your topic 1 is about YouTube usage. Okay, you have any doubt? Okay, you are think about, when you have a doubt, you have to convey that doubt to your kid. The kid will search. Okay, that's the way you usually do. Then how the kid knows that answer is in YouTube, in this particular pizza you are preparing. So that's the way you keep that story context in the entire interview process, because then only they can open up. They need some topic, some context to open up. You have to keep that in the entire interview. So introduce first topic in the story context, take immediate reactions within 5 seconds. That is one of the psychological principles we have to follow. When you present a topic, look to their face and get their immediate reaction, because that is coming from their mind, not from intellect. So the immediate response, that is very important. So immediate reaction, they are accepting that, not accepting that, or they are okay. Or, so you can judge easily from their face the immediate reactions within 5 seconds. Then explore. Okay, so while searching, how she will search, what are the search word she will give, or you will recommend the search word or something like that. You can explore how she is continuing that process and validate also. And again thing is, you have interviewer will be having a lot of knowledge, so don't ask the validation question first in. And okay, in YouTube you have to search like this, do you search? Don't ask this question. So they have to start, you have to learn how they are searching, then in between you can ask these validation questions. That's the way you have to correct your sub questions. So what's the point you have to keep in mind? Introduce first topic in the story context, take immediate reactions within 5 seconds, then explore, validate the interviewer's knowledge using sub questions. Of course, there's a discussion. You have to prompt something. So prompt using 5 whys. I will explain what is 5 whys later. Okay. What is the prompt using 5 whys? This is the step you have to follow. Then the rest is very simple. Do the same process in topic 2 and 3. This the same process is continuing. Then in last, compare topics and position. So okay, now we talk about YouTube, Vimeo, and Stitch, or YouTube, Vimeo, and your WhatsApp videos shared by your friends while about cooking. Then compare these topics, positioning, and position using ranking. Simple ranking methods you can use, or perceptual mapping. That's another method we had to use. I will discuss these things later. During the analysis also, perceptual mapping is a method. We can position each topic in a mapping paper or mapping layout, so we can get that information where they really position topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, like that. Or you can use liking, sharing methods. Then other position, there are a lot of positioning tools we can use. I will do it in detail when we talk about analysis. Then say thank you. This is not a very complex process. The depth interviews is not a very complex process. It's very simple to conduct, but your success is based on building this story from warm up and building the confidence for the participant to open up. Okay, what is happening in interviewing? You have to learn some psychology. That is, I invite you to this because an in-depth interview is always based on psychological methods. So there are 4 personalities in the community. We can divide it as physical personality, mental personality, intellectual personality, and spiritual personality. What is the knowledge level of these personalities? Physical personality have very less knowledge than mental personalities, than intellectual personalities, and spiritual personality. How you differentiate between these two? Physical personality, we can easily assess the personality level, and these personalities will act as knowledgeable. They feel that they know everything. They say that they know everything. They will act as knowledgeable, but actually they are ignorant, but they will act as knowledgeable. And they talk about personal benefits. Okay, well, what's my benefit by using this app? This is the way they will talk. It's called physical personalities. Mental personalities, more emotional. They talk about their families. So if I use my this app, what is benefit? Okay, if I prepare a pizza using your app, what benefit my family will get? That's the way the mental person, they will talk always about their family. Then intellectual personality, more knowledgeable, talk about specific community. Okay, think about my community, think about professional lady like me, how I had to use, or how your app will be beneficial for professionals like me. So it's a cooking app, but I'm a professional, I'm a doctor. So I'm a professional. So how these app will support the doctors community? That way they will present the topic. I'm not saying that this exact sentence they will talk, but that's the way they will explain, or they will present their views and queries. Then spiritual personality, most knowledgeable, but they will act as ignorant. So talk about total community or the entire mankind. Why this app is used? What about the entire people in the community? How this app is going to benefit? This is the way they will present. So physical personality more into the individual centric, then mental personality more to family centric, intellectual personality is a specific community centric, and spiritual personality is the for entire community. The one important you have to keep in mind that physical personality always act as knowledgeable, then spiritual personality always act as ignorant. They won't show their knowledge. But these are the psychologists have a detailed method for assessing these personalities, but that detailed method may not be applicable here because we have very less time. In warming up session, you have to complete all those processes, so you have very less time to process this. So you have to just follow these simple rules. You need not go to the psychological principles in detail. Just go through whether they are talking about their own benefits or family benefits and community benefits and total benefits. So they will I know everything, so I need not require these type of interactions. Or they see that, okay, I don't know anything about, even I don't know how to use internet. So that may be their expression. So based on this expression, you have to judge. So you have to be so serious and so keen on the responses, and you have to behave like a casual person. So that is the psychological balance you, as an interviewer, you should have. Okay. So how to interact with this type of personalities, the physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual? Mainly, what according to my experience, what I noticed is the mental personalities and intellectual personalities is more cooperative with your interview. So they will cooperate with you. But the physical personalities, I know everything, I need not record this. They always reject, or they won't enter to the topic what you are talking. So it's a little bit difficult to enter to their mind. That's uncooperative. And spiritual personality is a very tough mind. It's very difficult to enter to their mind because they always says that I don't know, or they will express in such a way that even though they know everything. So that is the way they will express. So this is one of the simplest scale you can keep in mind. Mental personality, intelligence, these other two people, is very difficult to enter their mind and synchronize with their mind. So how to move forward? One method you can use for physical personality, they already say that I am knowledgeable, so better you keep respect. So okay, I respect your knowledge. So what knowledge you have? So in that way, you respect their knowledge. That's a way to enter to their mind. But in mental and intellectual personalities, so emotional. Intellectual personality, you always respect, but mental personality was also in the center point. You can show the emotional attachment. So mental personality is always talking about family, so you have to show the emotional attachment. Something like, okay, that person love pets. Okay, you talk something about pets. If the person loves kids or love movies, something away from the topic also. So you also pretend to be that you also love movies, talk about some movies. So that's the way you enter to their mind. That's very easy to prepare the emotional attachment. So show emotional attachment with these people. And spiritual personalities, always they are knowledgeable. Keep in mind that they are showing as ignorant person, but still they are knowledgeable. Show respect. Okay. So if you ask me where you have to concentrate, you conduct all interviews, most of the interviews in mental personalities, some interviews in there. So then second preference is physical personality, then intellectual personality. Avoid spiritual personality. It's very difficult to enter to their mind. It will be a waste. If you are a very great knowledgeable person, so you can have a discussion on domain knowledge, but it won't give anything to your research. So keep to mental person. That is most common in the society. Mental person. In the spiritual person is very rare. And physical personality also will be there, but intellectual personality is the percentage of intellectual personality is higher than spiritual personality, but most of the people are in mental personalities than physical personality than intellectual than spiritual personality. So if you feel that that person is spiritual level, that is spiritual level is not some religious things you're talking about. I'm talking about the way he's talking. He is something like for entire community or the social requirements, these type of things. They will talk different topics, but you won't get much input to your research because they won't talk from their experience. They talk from knowledge. So in physical personalities, you can talk about their benefits. Maybe you can incentivize them. That is one of the other ways you can talk about. The mental personality, you always have the emotion. So try to build an emotional attachment to the person with the respondent. That gives the result for your interview. Then other rules. I already take too much of your time, but actually I can conclude to the other rule. Do not express your knowledge in the entire interview process. So this is not a place for express your knowledge. Do not express your knowledge in the entire interview process. Do not guide the participant to respond. These are the important rules you have to keep in mind. Do not guide the participant to respond. So if the participant is not responding, so don't guide. So if you guide them, they will respond to that guidance sentence you are giving. So it is deviating from the actual response from the participant. Do not prompt the participant to conclude, support your. That's one of the mistakes most of the interviewers are doing. They have their own ideas in their mind. So then you have to use internet while cooking. That's the idea. That is the opinion the interviewer is having. So they will prompt in such a way that to support their opinion. So this is not a campaign. So don't prompt the participant to conclude. They have different. What is this internet? Internet is a waste during cooking. That may be their response. You may be irritated with that response, but this is not the place to do the campaign and get supporters for your opinion. So don't prompt and participant to conclude or support your opinion. Don't interview participant if you are an expert in the same domain. That's one of the important points. If you are an expert, don't do the interview. Because if a doctor is interviewing a doctor, what is going to happen? What the other doctor, the respondent doctor is saying, either the interviewer knows it or he will argue against that or accept or argue. Both are failures in the interview. Don't argue against that doctor. So what you are doing is not correct. So this is the right way because you also knowledgeable. Okay. And also don't conclude with just one question. Don't conclude to that. Just one answer. Don't conclude that because you already know. So okay, doctor saying that I always recommend this procedure. Okay, that's fine. Don't conclude. So you have to ask, prompt again, deep into that knowledge. Why the person is saying that? That is 5 whys. That is one of the important things. Okay, so don't interview a participant if you are an expert in the same domain. You can keep you as an analyst, but don't do the interview. Do not fall into an argument with the participant. Okay, so if you fall an argument with a participant, that will be spoiled the entire interview. Keep in mind that interviewer is a facilitator. So speak less, listen more, and give respect to the participant's opinion. Interviewer is a facilitator, so you need not speak much, listen more, give respect to whatever the participant opinion is, that is expert opinion. Okay. Do not make interview process complex by adding more topics, high level knowledge, perfect language. So this is most of the it's very difficult to when I talk to clients, this is one of the important thing I always keep in. Don't add more topics. Don't use high level knowledge in the interview process. So layman's knowledge, because the users, we are talking to users, we are layman's knowledge, and perfect language. Don't use humans English or this is a perfect language. So some clients, I need 10 people in to conduct interviews. Your interview should be in English because I know only English. So by one funny level, I guess I need illiterate women in Tokyo. I want to conduct interviews in cooking, but I need illiterate women in Tokyo who speak in English. Okay, you got illiterate women who speaks in English. You will get only in US or UK or Australia, not in other places. Even though that the accent is different, you can't understand the people are talking. So don't stick to these type of rules if you are a client, if you are an analyst. So this will spoil. So this is not a place to check their language expertise. So your accent is wrong, your usage is wrong. This is not the place. So user is having his own language. He will be mixing the language. A lot of things going to happen. I will talk that later. And don't express your knowledge. Okay. Then how to prompt? 5 whys I already said. So 5 times you have to ask why. So first intention of the first why is argument. What are the argument the user is having? The intention of the second why is support with examples. Intention of third why is take the metaphors, then reconfirmation, then additional support. So needs and problems reflecting now or anticipated in future. This is a total way, total strategy of asking why. So needs or problems anticipated now or anticipated in future or reflecting now. This is the way you have to ask 5 whys. So you have to look into more arguments or more queries from the user, and the user should show some examples. Users express their examples with some representative methods, that is called metaphors. Then reconfirm. So you already said that, why you said that, that's also there. So in that way you have to reconfirm then, and why you are supporting this with that argument. That way you have to look for additional support. So takeaways, and concluding fast because it's already, I speak a lot because when these type of topics comes in, I go deep and deep into the topic. I hope, because we have vast experience on this field, that's why I go deep and deep. So what are the takeaways? Environment for interviewing: home, lab, street. Interview channels: online, offline, but face to face. Number of interviews needed: 10 to 15 on population. Selecting and scheduling participants' usage, behavioral and psychographic. Duration of the interview: 10 to 60 minutes. Interview guidelines: warm up, 3 topics, compare. Interview: how to interview: start with a story based on domain and personality. Enter participants' mind fast. Take quick responses. Explore, then validate each topic. Prompt based on rules. Okay, I have done. Questions? You can ask any questions in the comment box. Also, I invite you to subscribe to our newsletter. Do comments and like and share. Also, I expect all of you in the next session because the continuation of this session. So we will talk about the balance, and whatever questions you have, add to the comment box. I will discuss with that question, start with that questions. At the same time, we will be doing the balance part. Thank you so much.